Hello, and welcome to the not the Cheap Seats, the Full Quota Podcast. Sorry guys. So many podcasts this week. Welcome to the Full Quota Podcast. This is your South African cricket podcast here on One World Sports Radio. Remember, you can follow us on these various platforms. We are active on all these platforms. Please do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. The little pop-up will come out below. One important message for those who are watching is that on Saturday we'll be bringing you live commentary, radio commentary, digital radio commentary on 1WSR.com, but you can watch along with us. You'll just watch our pretty faces as we take you through the happenings that will be happening in the Argentine home game in the Rugby Championship in Gqeberha on a Saturday. So that's going to be fun to watch. But I've got Tim, I've got Tshepo here. We've got a really lovely mystery guest. We're going through the mystery spinners. So, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Looking forward to this chat.
Tshepo, welcome back. It's been a while. We've missed you.
Yeah. I took a bit of a sabbatical. Working behind the scenes. Slow goings, but still going. So good to be back.
Yeah, so it's now time to introduce our guest. Our guest was the second highest wicket taker in the 4-day series last year. And he's also taken about 420 first-class wickets, 100 list A wickets, and 45 T20 wickets. And this is all on ESPN Cricket Info. So he can correct me if he's still keeping tally. We'll find out if he is. But he is a mystery spinner. It's a spinner's week today. And so we've gotten from the new man to join Boland, the new Division 1 team, Shaun Von Berg. Hi, Shaun. How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Good to be here. Thank you.
Shaun, do you know how many wickets you've taken? Do you keep a running tally just as a first one?
First class, yes, I do know. I like to keep things in my mind. I've got a couple of goals in first class cricket wickets wise in my career, so I know exactly how many wickets. But one day in T20 cricket, I don't know. I'm actually surprised to hear I've got 100 list A wicket. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, it's the guys at Cricket Info, so maybe there's some scorer who maybe missed a wicket of yours somewhere along the line. We don't know, but we'll take it as a bit of a gospel. Otherwise, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I just had some training this morning, and a couple of errands here at the house this afternoon, and like lazy Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow we've got a bit of a fitness session running, so I'm saving my energy for tomorrow.
Okay, so obviously our discussion is just a little chat. We're just gonna get to know you a little bit better and also understand a little bit more about this new season coming along. I think for me to start off, a question for you would be just give us a sense of how you got into cricket. Did you watch a game and you were like, I want to do this? How was it for you getting into the game?
Yeah, look, I've obviously started playing cricket when I was very young. I think it was like grade 2. I think you're like 8 or 9 years old. Loved it from the beginning. And then obviously played at school level all the way through. And then my first year after school, I think when I was 19, I went to England for overseas season as like my first pro cricketer, like sort of vibe. And and then when I came back from that stint, I actually stopped playing cricket for like 3 years. I don't know why. I worked for like an engineering company and a roof company. But then, after like 2 or 3 years, I started obviously missing the game a lot. And then I started playing again. And then that's where the Titans picked me up for the first time as a professional cricketer. And then never looked back after that. Yeah.
Why spin bowling? Did you start as a spin bowler, or did you start as a pace bowler or batsman, or what?
No, I was actually a seamer when I started bowling. I bowled like medium seam in swingers, and then I played action cricket with my dad quite a lot when I was younger, and then my slow ball was like a leg spinner. And the guys kept on missing it, and they got stumped. And I told my dad, well, why don't I bowl this like 6 balls? Like I can bowl 6 of them. I mean, hopefully I can get 6 wickets if they go out on it there. And that's where I started bowling leg spin. And obviously it took a lot of years to sort of like try and master the art, because it's quite a difficult thing to do. But yeah, that's how I started bowling leg spin. I think it was like standard 6. How old are you?
That is
I think that's grade
that's
8.
like 14,
so
15.
14, yeah.
13, 14, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when I actually started bowling leg spin. I remember my first game, I bowled like, I think 14 wides. I didn't know where to pitch the ball because it was turning too much the whole time. So yeah, I couldn't control it.
Oh, that must have been hectic. It's great to hear about your transition into spin and how you sort of just it sort of just came to you. That realization is pretty cool. But what I want to know is, what's your favorite format to play cricket in? Do you like the first class, List A, T20s? Which one's your favorite?
Personally, List for cricket, first class cricket. That's for me. That's the purest form of the game. You get rewarded if you bowl well, you get rewarded, and if you bowl badly, you get punished. So for me, it's a fair combination of where your skill is at. I mean, if you're not prepared into a game, then you're going to struggle. So you get caught out quite quickly if you're underprepared or not. So so that I enjoy that format the most. But like one day in T20 cricket is obviously exciting. But the only thing I don't like about T20 cricket is you can still bowl a great ball and you can still get it for 6. I don't like that.
A lot of good balls get taken out in T20 cricket.
Exactly.
Do you think of like in the last 5 years, spin bowlers have now started moving to the top of the charts in the first class game, in the red ball game? What do you think that is? Because obviously you're sitting at the top with the Keshavs, and I think Prenel and Subrian is underneath you last season. And it's just spin bowling. Is it that are the conditions getting a lot drier, or is it just South Africa's now understanding that spin's also an important part of the 4-day game throughout? Because obviously previously it couldn't be considered that it wasn't.
No. A couple of seasons back, I'm trying to think now quickly, top of my head. I think about 4 or 5 seasons back, spin didn't play a massive part in our country. The conditions were out and out batting conditions. I looked at the stats the other day on Twitter. Somebody posted it, and you can see clearly that season the runs were quite high, and then after that it dropped quite a bit the rest of the seasons. But I don't think conditions-wise it's massive for turning in South Africa. Last year when I played in Bloem, I kept on telling the guys, like, I get wickets with straight balls. I couldn't turn the ball last season. And they kept on missing it, like the straight ones. Like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, spin is obviously a massive part. If you look in the international circuit as well, even in the 100, like all the leg spinners or all the like proper spinners are top of the leading wicket takers in the world mostly. It's especially in T20 cricket. But yeah, I think spin is an interesting conversation in this country because South Africa is like quite seamer friendly, always known for their seamers, their fast bowlers. So spinners, they always, most of the time, only play one spinner. But I think over the last couple of years, we've sort of got like a bit of a mental shift. I think everybody. So I see we're starting to play like 2 spinners in a one-day game. And if we travel to India or Sri Lanka or whatever, we take 2 spinners or 3 spinners and 2 will at least play. Where in the previous years, it'll never happen in South Africa that two spinners will play. So I think our mentality as a cricketing fraternity in South Africa has definitely turned a little bit. That spin is playing a bigger role in this country instead of just seamers the whole time. So yeah.
I certainly think that's a good thing. We had Robin Peterson on Tuesday, and he was saying, in terms of what you're saying about the changes, he was saying that 5 or 6 years ago, Kingsmead wasn't turning like it is now for Sabrine and Maharaj.
Yeah,
it wasn't doing what it is now, and that's only over a 4 or 5 year period. So you see the change in the thinking, the different coaches that actually see that the T20 cricket isn't, spin bowling is important. Historically, not necessarily for a spinner, but a cricketer to go and develop himself, it's always been the idea to go to county cricket or go to England, play the Lancashire Leagues. You played the Lancashire Leagues for 2 seasons, and your numbers in those seasons were unbelievable. Do you still think that's an important place to go to grow your game, or do you think people now go to T10s and they go to CPLs and the IPLs? Do you still think that the Lancashire League is still an English grounds is an important place to go?
Yeah, I think for any cricketer, I saw it like first year out of school to go play in England. It's a bit of an eye opener because as a schoolboy you grow up in South Africa, you get used to these conditions, and you think that's cricket. But as soon as you go to a different country, then you start realizing, listen, my game is not suited for these conditions. I must sort of like adapt. And I think the younger you are to figure out that there's more than only one condition, I think the better cricketer you'll become quicker. But yeah, so definitely I would say England did play a massive role in my cricket growing up over the last, 14, 15 years. Obviously also proing for, I played for Richmond for 2 seasons that I did really well. Playing for them, there was so much responsibility on me as a player to do well, because you're getting paid now there, and they expect you every weekend to take 5 wickets and score 50 runs at least. So if you don't do it, and the English people, they're quick on you. If you don't score runs, they let you know, listen, you're here to score runs. So it can be a harsh place if you don't start the season off well. But definitely the responsibility on your head is quite big playing for a club like them, and the Lancashire League is quite strong. There's a lot of hype behind the Lancashire League, which is also quite nice. But it does play a massive part in your to grow as a cricketer, to get more clever, think out the box a little bit.
Sweet. I'm glad that you brought up scoring runs, because my question was going to go towards your batting. I saw that you have a top score in first class cricket of 110. I think that's what it was. Sorry, I just went off the page. And pretty recently, 110 not out nochal. That's pretty dope. And also, you got 58 not outs against the Titans in your second last game playing. So how much time as a bowler, as a number 8 batsman, do you put into your batting? And how much time do you think should be put into batting as a bowler? Because we saw the likes of Shami and Kumar, and Bumrah, scoring big runs against England. So as a bowler, where does batting sort of fit in your ecosystem?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, when I played for the Titans, we had quite a long batting lineup. there was not really a place for me to bat. And even if I bat at 7, let's say, for instance, I bat at 7, the chance of me batting in a T20 game is basically 0. Because the batting lineup we had those years was so strong. I mean, Jacques Rudolph, Martin van Jaarsveld, Rolf, you can name all of them. So I think I neglected my batting a little bit at the Titans because I knew we had quite a strong batting lineup, and there were so many guys up training every day, so I missed out on a lot of balls that I could have batted. So I bowled for 2 hours in the nets at the Titans, and then maybe bat twice a week, which is not ideal. But since I made the move from the Titans to the Knights, I knew I had a bigger responsibility with the bat, so I started working a little bit more on my batting again. So at the Knights, I batted every day, probably for 45 minutes to an hour in the nets, and then extra work in the indoor nets with a bowling machine. So for the last 2 years, I worked hard on my batting. So hopefully this season I can get another 100. That'll be great. And now even this preseason, we're busy now with the last 5 weeks. I've batted every single day for a minimum of 70 minutes. So you probably face 300-400 balls a day, which is quite nice. I don't think I've ever batted so much in a preseason before. So it's quite nice. I enjoy it. Yeah.
That's actually quite interesting. But obviously with the emphasis of batting, it's actually quite cool. Shaun, I know that you were obviously part of that South Africa tour, the last time South Africa toured to Sri Lanka as part of that test squad there. How was that? Because I'm sure as a spinner, Sri Lanka must be like the holy grail, the home of spin bowling.
Yeah, Sri Lanka was quite a nice tour. I toured there once before on a spin camp in Colombo. I think it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So I was sort of familiar where I'm going to. It's not like I was getting thrown in the deep end, which is also nice. Colombo. So the first test was in Gaul, and the second test in Colombo, which obviously I didn't get to play. But those conditions is quite nice for spin bowlers.
You probably wanted to take the track home. Just cut it out and take it
definitely. Home. I think it's the conditions or the weather. Like Sri Lanka's weather is similar to Durban's weather. It's very humid. Almost feels like a tropical island. So very humid, very dry. I suppose that's why Durban also turns quite a bit the last couple of years. So. But that was quite a nice tour to spend some time with the international guys, and it was always my first tour, and I think my last. But it was quite. It was a very enjoyable tour.
Do you have any regrets about not playing, particularly in that second test? There was a lot of clamour about the fact that you probably should have played that second test.
Yeah, I was a bit upset, to be honest. I don't want to go on tour and not play. You want to play every game. So after losing the first game, and we played 2 spinners, the first game in Gaul, and then Shamo's dad sadly passed away, and he had to come back for the funeral. Nobody knew if he was going to make it for the next test or not. So I thought I had quite a good chance of playing. And then he came back, and then they also didn't pick him, which is quite interesting. I saw that coming. And then I'm not going to name any names, but somebody just told me that they're going to pick their 3 quickest seamers, and then back them, and then Keshav. And then obviously Keshav took 9 in the first innings. So I think it's easier said afterwards. I think if we could do a different that specific test, then maybe they would have picked the extra spinner. But I mean, it's so difficult to say beforehand what is the best team like.
Especially with Sri Lanka at that time, I think they had 3 spinners in their side, 3 frontline spinners in their side in that first test, and they just carried on in that second test.
Yeah.
Can I jump in with a question?
Sure.
Since we're talking about international cricket, and you're a quality cricket player, you're a professional cricket player. So how much does, do you still work towards like making the national team, or are you like happy where you are? You're going to apply your trade in the domestics, on the domestic scene, help the young guns go up. Like, where are you in your points at this point of your career?
Yeah, it's a good question. I get that question quite often. Mentally, obviously, I want to play for my country, but to be realistic, you can sort of see where the selectors are going to and where their minds are at, which they're picking younger guys, which is fine. It's perfectly normal. They've picked George, where he's done very well. Keshav deserves his spot in the team. Like, you can't fault him. Shamo, great spinner, world's best T20 bowler, so you can't. So it's not like I'm sour or like upset. But I mean, just to be realistic, I think I know my chance for international game are done. So I think when you started making peace with it, you can obviously get your mind clear and then set new goals. So for me, it's obviously 500 wickets is my first goal. I want to very badly get there. And then, obviously play a bit of a senior role in the team. At Bloom, at the Knights, there's quite a young couple of guys there, and they're obviously very keen to learn. Reinhard van Tonder, for instance, he asked me quite a lot about batting, and I'm like, champ, you're 10 times better than me, and you're asking me about batting. But I told him, well, I can't give you the answers, but I can hook you up with people like that. No, like guys in the past, Jock Rudolph, I hooked him and Jock Rudolph up to each other, and I think they obviously spoke a little bit. Him and Aidan Markram, I've joined them up together. So even if I don't have all the answers, I can still like help you out, like a little bit, give advice to in which direction, So that is quite nice in a team environment. I'd like to see myself as a good team man. So for me, as long as the team does well, then I'm happy.
You've got 80 more wickets to get to that 500 mark. So that must be quite exciting.
Yes.
Looking at the new season, obviously we've moved from franchise cricket. Now it's more slightly provincial, Division 1, Division 2, similar to the county system. I think the question for me is, what do you think of the change? And also you moved from obviously the Knights to Boland. How did that come about, and how are you enjoying the transition, or are you finding the transition?
Okay. I think obviously this season being back to provincials like in the older days. I think it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, I like the thought that there's two more teams in the A division, which is nice. You don't have to play against everyone the whole time. Like, it feels like you play against the same guys every year. So there's a couple of new faces, which is nice. Some of the Colpack guys are back, which will obviously strengthen our standard of cricket, which I think we missed in the last 4 or 5 years. So that is exciting to start to bowl like Stian, for instance, in the nets again, or face, I don't know, Duan Olivier.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
He hasn't bowled in South Africa in a 4-day game for like 3 years. I think our batters has become. They scored easy runs the last couple of years. I think this year is going to be the harder runs they have to score because Mpho is back. He's a world-class bowler. Duan is back, so it's going to be a nice season. I'm very excited. Yeah, and then there was another question. Sorry.
Oh no, just your transition from Boerland, from the Knights to Boerland. How was that? How did you find that?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I didn't expect to get for the Knights to tell me, cheers, you're done. So it was an interesting couple of weeks there to sort of like get to Paul. So James eventually phoned me and said, like, okay, cool, you in. So obviously very happy that I'm here. And then obviously the big move started. We had to pack up our house and then move again. But I can't be happier. I can't be in a better place at the moment. Like, I love it here. Living in Somerset West, sitting here watching the ocean. It's unbelievable. And then joining up with the Paul Rocks, great side. Like the guys also, like a lot of youngsters. Now in this pre-season 5 weeks we've had, but I think most of the senior guys are coming back from England, and then our squad will be filled up. Then then it'll be ready for the season.
Awesome. So I take it Steven is not back yet. And I know that he's said goodbye to Sussex, but I take it he hasn't arrived at Boerland.
No, he's not back yet. I think maybe in a week or two, I think. I overheard somebody said maybe 1 September, I think he'll be coming back. So, 2 weeks.
Okay. And also, I think today Peter Malan was named the captain. Peter Malan was named your captain today, I think. Has he spoken to you about your role on the side? I know he spoke about it briefly. Is he giving you a bit more detail of what he expects from you for the season?
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, we've played many years ago with each other at Northerns when we started. Great guy. We haven't really talked too much in depth about roles, but I think we all sort of like know where we are. Him especially also played for so many years. I think we sort of like know what our roles are. Like obviously, bowling's my first priority. Most of the overs in the 4-day game. And then we've got 2 younger spinners like Sia Mahima. He made his debut last year, I think, for the Cobras.
Yes, in the T20 challenge.
Yeah, he had a great tournament. So it's nice to work with him, see what his thoughts are, what his processes are. And then Imran Manak as well. Also a good off spinner, a bit of unorthodox offie, but he's got some good skills. So we've got a nice spin unit here. Like obviously left arm, leg spinner, off spinner, and then we've got a younger guy, Michael Copeland.
Yes.
I think he's joining up the under-19 team.
Yes, I think for that T20 challenge. That one that's happening.
Yeah, he's got some good shape on his off spinners. We are blessed here with spin. So hopefully I can play on a wicket that turns a bit more than what I'm used to in the last 12 years.
Speaking of your history, I know it's going to be a very difficult question to answer because it's so open-ended, and I don't want you to limit this to like your playing career, like just all cricketing memories like included, but like what's your fondest cricketing memory like as a professional? Well, not as a professional, just like your fondest cricketing memory Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. I would say my proudest moment on a cricket field was, I think it was in Benoni, 4-day game against the Warriors. I scored 100 in that game, and I took a 10-fer.
Wow.
In the same game. So I think that was my best game of yet. That's my proudest cricketing moment, I suppose. And then the other one was when I broke Klusener's fastest 100 in first class.
Speaking about that, we've got one of our viewers, Werner Erasmus, who says, Shaun, you need to take back that record for the fastest century in domestic first-class cricket from Jacques Snyman. We all know. Yes, you were in that match. Yes, I remember that. It was the first day of the season, and Jacques just went hammer to tongs in the first session. It was,
That's mad.
Yeah, I know. Jacques, he's also a great guy. We were sitting there that first morning in Bloem, and at lunchtime he was like on, I think like 80 or something. And I told him at lunchtime, listen, you can break my record here. Like, keep going. And I never thought like an opening batter will break that record.
Yeah,
especially first game this season, first session. I was thinking, no way. But if there's one guy, it's probably Jacques, because he hits the ball so hard.
Did he give you something afterwards for it to be like, hey man, thank you?
Had a drink, had a beer maybe afterwards.
Okay, sure.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
Yes, looking at the new season, are there any like ambitions that you'd like to see? Would you like to play more 4-day games, white ball games? Are there any like small ambitions that you're looking to get towards?
Yeah, I quite like this Africa Cup where all 16 teams are playing against each other. That's going to be like something new for us. I see we in Pool C, and I think, is it Limpopo? I think Limpopo is in our pool. And I looked at the names, and it's funny. Like, it's funny to see a team and you don't know who's who. You don't know one person, so you don't even know where to bowl for this guy or where he's bowling. Or
that's exciting.
That's going to be interesting. Yes. Like, sort of like on the day. You need to figure out quickly where to bowl to who. So
you are in Group D with the Warriors, the Eastern Cape Linyati, which I'm assuming that's Border, and Limpopo. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. But you're going to have to work it out on the day. Hopefully your straight ball won't take a lot of wickets. Maybe a little bit more variation there.
Yeah, hopefully the wicket turns a bit more. I see we're playing in Kimberley. So,
yes.
Yeah. Kimberley could turn a little bit in the beginning of the season.
What's your favorite ground in SA to bowl on? What's the one you would pick up and take home?
Sure. Well, Supersport Park, no. Well, it's a nice field, but it's not good for spin bowling. Joburg, no. Yeah. I've quite enjoyed PE, St George's Park. I made my debut there, so I've always had like a good feeling about St George's, and Cape Town always turns for some reason. Newlands always turns. So I quite enjoy bowling there and Durban. But if I must pick one field, I'll probably say Cape Town.
Okay.
Newlands.
I think I have a sneaky feeling you'll enjoy bowling in Paul too. I honestly think you might.
Yeah, and I heard somebody say, like, we've got 3 spinners, maybe we must make the wicket a bit more turning. So yeah, I've had some success here, so I'm very excited. I'm excited to be here. So let's hope it works out.
Well, that's what I thought when obviously they were building the Boerland squad. I was like, okay, the pictures, the wicket's always known to be quite on the slower side, so maybe you might actually pull out a 4-day team with 2 spinners.
Why
which would be
not?
pretty cool.
I could easily see you and Manak bowling together. Definitely,
Yeah.
because I'm a big fan of him, of his. I'm a little bit sad he left Cobras, but I'm glad he's got a new home.
Yeah. So, Shaun, I think that's the end of our conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We wish you all the best for your season. We'll be watching out for you as you come out for the Paul Rocks in that CSA T20 challenge next month. And as the domestic season unfolds, wish you all the best and hope that you do get to 500. I think it would be amazing for a spinner in South Africa to get to 500 first-class wickets. So all the best. Thank you very much for joining us and God bless.
Thank you
You're
very
such
much,
a cool
guys.
oak, man.
Sure.
Cheers.
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 Cool. Thanks. So, gents, really great conversation. What did you guys pick off of that before we move on to the next topic?
Tshepo, I'll let you take it.
Yo, damn it, Tim. I wasn't prepared to get questions. I don't know. You know, it's always nice to meet like professional cricketers because like you tend to forget that these people are human. You know, they have memories like of fond cricketing memories. They've been scarred. They've been, you know, and the way they think about the game. Like what I really enjoy hearing is players in the domestic scene when like their chance has come and gone to make the national side. It's not like they're like, well, that's it for me. I'm done with cricket. You know, they still feel like they have a lot to offer. And that's fantastic as a fan. It's great to see that.
Yeah,
Tim.
I just think it's good to get somebody with such a long career come on, because he's been played at all sorts of teams. He's played all the structures from the beginning all the way. He's been involved with the South African camp, so he's been everywhere. He's been in every every franchise and team that you would, every system.
Well,
So
you know,
it's
I'm a
good.
fan. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a fan of spinners. I'm a fan of leg spinners too. So, leg spin is my my late cricket art that I'm trying to do. So I'm excited. If you can find more spinners, Tim, I'm more than happy to interview them.
What is a late cricket art? What does that mean? Is this
So
like
it's my late in life cricketing
I
art.
see.
When I started
I
playing,
see.
I was a seamer. And then when we started playing LMS as part of One World Sports Radio, I was like, hey, let me be a leg spinner. I can't control it. But hey, let me try. And
Let's go, yeah.
So you just found me at work I have a little ball on my desk at work, and I just will play with it all the time. In hopes of getting a wicket at LMS. I haven't gotten a wicket yet, but I'll probably get one.
The day will come. Keep going.
Yes, it will. But now let's just move on to the next topic of conversation. The World Cup fixtures have come out for the Proteas, and we'll talk about the Momentum Women's squad later on after this. But the World Cup fixtures for the Proteas have come out. Just want to have a discussion. Here they are. We are in Group 2. With Australia, West Indies, the winner of Group A, which is like the prelim, and the runner-up in Group B in the prelim round, and we've also got England in the side. When I looked at this, gents, right, I was like, we need to win our first 2 games. Win your first 2 games, you guarantee yourself a semi-final spot. It's effectively that simple. And based on current form, we can beat Australia by the virtue that we've beaten the West Indies. But knowing South Africa, we could find a way losing to Sri Lanka, possibly in Ireland, coming out of A1. I know David Visa's playing for Namibia. I don't think he's that good. And obviously the other teams in
Yo,
Group B.
he's gonna have you. He's gonna have you.
But James, when you look at these fixtures, what do you think?
I'm pretty excited. I'm excited. Generally, I've been feeling confident about the boys. It seems like there's a clear game plan here. Australia haven't been striking fear into me, but to be fair, they haven't been playing with their top players. It may work for them, getting depth, but I think that will only work in the long run. And what I think will happen, like closer to the time, I don't think their guys are going to have the rhythm that our guys have. I'm also happy with how we've been using our depth. So anything can happen. I mean, an injury could happen like game 2, and we need to have the right people to fit in the slots. And I don't want someone that's like, we haven't heard of this person to just slot in, you know. So if Quinton de Kock were to get injured, we need someone who could be at the top of the order with a high strike rate and someone with the gloves. Put Aiden Markram up, put Heinrich Klaassen at the bottom. You know, there are contingency plans, and there are clear contingency plans. And I guess what else can you ask for from a coaching staff besides just execution? But yeah, that we'll have to see on the day. And also what I like is that we have the preparation that we're doing in terms of the series that we're getting. We have a Sri Lanka series, we had an Ireland series, we had a West Indies series. It's a good mix of minnows, for lack of a better word, or associate nations and like spinning nations, because you know we struggle against spin. So we go to Sri Lanka and we try our luck there, try our depth. I heard that we're going to be testing depth, and that's why Faf du Plessis is not there. So the types of decisions we're making leading up to the World Cup like brings confidence to me.
Before I go to Tim, are you not worried about chemistry with Faf du Plessis not being in the final series before the World Cup?
Yeah, you can. I think that's a legit concern, but I think there's a bigger picture. So this is one T20 tournament. There's one next year, and then there's a 2023. So in terms of Faf fitting into the side, chemistry may be weird, but like people are going to respect him. And I think like it's the Proteas. It's not like this is the first time he's going to be there. You know, structures may change, but he looks like a very team-oriented player. Even his captaincy was like that. So it would be interesting for him to come in as a superstar and fit in. And I have no doubt that he would. So yeah, it may be an issue, but we're not the only team facing these types of things. Like Australia have more than just, you know, Faf du Plessis sitting out, and how are they going to integrate, you know? So yeah, in terms of how maybe integrating him may be difficult, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of rotation, and I don't see Faf being too much of a superstar to be rotated, to be happy to sit back, to do his job, to play his role, and then know, yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Tim, what do you think of the fixtures?
I'd much rather if we had lost against Ireland, lost against the West Indies, and lost against Sri Lanka going into the World Cup.
What?
It's part of me
because he's got hope. That's the thing.
Oh.
Exactly.
He doesn't want the hope to kill you.
I don't want
right
the hope.
now.
I don't want the hope. I don't want.
Right now, he looks at this and he's like, "We've beaten West Indies. West Indies beat Australia. If these guys don't win the first two games of the tournament, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just going to be crash and burn."
Yeah. and I look at that A1 match. Woo! That could be any one of those teams. Honestly, it could be any one of those four teams. I honestly believe that. You look at where Sri Lanka are now. Sri Lanka are a hopeless team, and they got all sorts of problems off the field, which is affecting the players on the field.
But as a tournament side, there's something else.
Those four teams, it could be any. It probably will be one of the first two. Yes, it probably will be one of the first two, but it literally could be any of those four. And I could see us losing against Sri Lanka and Ireland on the day easily. In a T20 format, easily. Yeah, and that worries me.
Easily, Tim. Easily.
We could win.
Temple. Think about what Simi Singh did to the Proteas. Just think about that.
Oh, but easily.
Let me. We could win all four games. Equally, I think we could win all four games.
Yeah.
Yes. True.
Equally, 100% we could win all four games. I don't think we will, but we could. On the day, in this format, we could. The hope scares me. That's what the hope scares me.
And it's the hope that kills you, Tim. So because I've seen this before, and I've known South Africa to enter tournaments number one in the world on highs, this is what I think. We're going to split Australia and West Indies. We're going to win one, lose one. You can take your pick, whichever one it's going to be.
Yeah.
We're going to beat the two teams coming out of the qualifiers. And it's going to go down to how each of South Africa, West Indies, and Australia play against England. and net run rate. My biggest worry is that, okay, plan A is do not leave it until that England game to qualify. If you need England to beat England to qualify in Sharjah, I'm sorry, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You have to make sure that you have 8 points by the time you get to England. If not, at least 6. You cannot lose to the minnows, or not the minnows, the associate nations. If you do, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And that Sharjah match, I am so afraid of, because I know it's late in the tournament. The wickets will be slower, but there's a 51-meter boundary. There's a 51-meter boundary that no captain in the world can defend against. So I'm really worried about that, but I'm really hopeful how that goes, and we'll see with the Sri Lanka series. Werner says we will have to see how we go against Hasaranga and Sri Lanka. Then we will know how we're going into the World Cup. That is going to be so important. Hasaranga is the number 3 bowler in the world, and that's going to be quite interesting. But I say we're going to split those two. If we beat those two, and we should, then we're fine. But hey, we're going to leave hope at the door for now, up until because I know we'll beat Australia. That's my thing. My problem is West Indies. We always beat Australia at the World Cup. 2019, we had the worst World Cup in the history of World Cups, but we met them in Manchester and we smacked them to left side. So I'm there with you guys on that one. Okay, next one quickly. The Momentum Proteas women's team have their squad set up for the West Indies tour. They're following the men. They're going into the West Indies. This is the squad. We see the return of Dene van Niekerk, Chloe Tryon back into the team. There were a lot of players who are coming in from the SA emerging, like Tasman Brits, Masabata Klaas, Nondumiso Shangase, who's a nice off spinner there from KZN, and then obviously Sinalo Jafta, who was the captain of the emerging team in Bangladesh. She didn't play in Zimbabwe, and obviously we see Nadine de Klerk there at the bottom. She's always been the Marizan Cup replacement. Any surprises for you guys? I know, Tim, you mentioned Annika Bosch, so let's talk about that one.
Annika Bosch scored runs at the beginning of the year against India, where the wickets are going to be of a similar nature in the West Indies. I'm very surprised. It's a strong squad, but I'm sorry that she didn't make the squad, particularly the fact that it's 18 players.
So I was thinking about it, and I thought maybe Tasman Brits is seen as still higher up, or higher than Annika Bosch on the batting front in terms of the pecking order. Because, for instance, if you look at it, I think the final 7 players are not going to get a lot of game time. I think knowing Hilton, he always tried to play his full 11, and with Chloe Tryon there, it's going to be very hard even for a Laura Goodall, who had a good India tour, to get some game time. Is it better to have Annika captain the emerging side against Thailand? In that case, Tim?
As long as that is communication. Again, it comes down to communication. I in the conversation we had with Dinesha, I just hope that the selectors are looking at both squads for the World Cup. So I just hope that they're not just leaving the SA emerging to play their little game and forget about them. So I hope that they've said to Annika, you're the captain, but if you score X amount of runs, you're back in, you've got a real chance for the World Cup.
Well, look, she scored a lot of runs. She scored a lot of runs this year. She's like, she's got 100 against Zimbabwe, another half century. I think she's averaged just about 50 in the for the emerging team this year. And so that's the tough part about it. Tshepo,
oh wait, Tim, go ahead. You can just wrap up that.
Go ahead. I finished.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm finished, mate.
Similar to the question you asked me about Faf du Plessis, we know that Dane van Niekerk has been out the side for quite some time. Coming back into the side, how do you think she's going to integrate? It's great that we have the amount of leadership that we have in the women's team. That is an exciting thing to see. But how is that? Is that going to work? Is she just going to slot in, or? So they're preparing for the World Cup next year in New Zealand, and so we're about 7-8 months away from that World Cup in March, and so this is unlike the men's team, they're bringing her in now
Also with Chloe Tryon, who wasn't playing in India, they're bringing her in, and Marizan did play in India as well, to try and get the rhythm going in. I think their biggest question, I think Hilton's biggest question is, what does this top six look like and who fits in where? My one question around that top six is Sunay Lisa's spot in the side. Is she still considered as a bowling option? Because she hasn't bowled a lot. And so if she isn't considered as a bowling option, someone like Tasman Brits, Laura Goodall need an opportunity. If I look at that batting lineup, it's all right-handers. I don't think there's a lot of left-handers in that side. And so Laura Goodall gives them that variety. I know you don't like this type of, but you can't have all right-handers in your team. But she's a very good option as a lefty.
Yeah.
Tasman Brits is a really good power hitter. Up the order, maybe you want to split. You want to drop Laura Wolfart to 4 and slot in Tasman Brits. That kind of helps. But Sunay's that number 3 has been her. So I think that's what Hilton's trying to find in that top 6. And from a bowling perspective, I think they picked themselves. But I'm happy that Danae is back. She's the captain. She's the eternal captain of the side. She's done well. You can see what she's done with the Oval Invincibles in the 100. She's an amazing cricketer, and I'm really happy that they've gotten that going. I'm also happy for Sinalo. I think Sinalo needs a lot of opportunities in the gloves. I'm a fan of Tasman Britt. I've always been a fan of hers. She's a very good power hitter and also a great outfielder. So I think I'm hoping that there's a lot of rotation. There's quite a few games, so I'm hoping they get a lot of rotation out of it. But we shall see, because the World Cup next year is the goal. 2020, this is our moment. This is the golden era. This is the golden team. We can qualify for the semi-finals of the World Cup, and once they do that, like in the T21, everything's up for grabs. Nothing's on the table. And you can ask Australia in that T20 World Cup semi-final how they were scared as it kept on raining, because a shortened game can create havoc. And the South African ladies just wanted to play. They really wanted to showcase themselves. So that's what I'm hoping we can get out of there. Verna on YouTube says, I was so impressed with the performance of our team in India. Without a few of our major players, that has shown that there's some depth and will be giving us a lot of confidence going forward. Verna, all I can say is that emerging side with Annika Bosch, Annery Dirksen, Dalmi Tucker, they are very, very good. I know Kirsty, Faye Tunnicliffe is also in and around the setup. We've got a lot of great women's cricketers in the country. It's going to be quite cool. One last question for you, Tshepo and Tim, before we go off. Yanaman and Andile were not selected in the T20 squads.
Oh, yes.
To play against Sri Lanka. Is it over for them? Is it their World Cup shot for that final 15 spot over? Because we've already seen that Mark selected an 18 without them.
Tim, you go ahead first.
I'd be surprised if it was the over for Yanaman. But you have to say, we're coming to the end of August, a couple of months
away. It's the final series, guys.
It's the final series.
This is the World Cup.
I would say yes. Yeah, I would say it very much looks like that is the case, unless, of course, an injury happens to somebody like Dwayne Pretorius or Markram. Unless an injury happens.
Oh, Vian Mulder.
You see, that's what I was going to mention, because let's be frank, Vian Mulder's, he forced himself into the side, and Petlo Kwaya was the one that fell by the wayside in the T20 setup, and you can't ignore what this guy did, literally coming in as a sub for Dwayne Pretorius, getting 2 wickets in the only game there, performing great with the bat, decent with the bat as well. So, and he's also pretty young. How many years? Maybe 4 years younger than Petlo Kwaya. So you've got youth, you've got like a little bit more quality, or maybe not quality, but form in terms of batting and bowling, because Petlo Kwaya has been disappointing with the bats. Let's just be frank about that. Let's call a spade. And his bowling's been it's been par, you know. What you want him to do, come in, get at the end of the game, all of a sudden he's got 3 wickets, and you're like, oh wow, he did actually get 3 wickets. But Vian Mulder fulfills that role quite nicely. Yanaman Malan, look, he's in the one-day side. I think these guys are in the one-day side, so they're not thrown by the wayside. You know, I think it's more about giving other people opportunities now, other people that deserve opportunities. And to manage these types of things, I like what the coaching staff did by not throwing Petlokoya out, throwing the baby with the bathwater, putting him in the ODIs. Bjarneman will thrive in ODIs because he just does better there. Seems well, that's how it's been looking for now. So yeah, I'm happy with the way things are. It's not over for them. I think they can still, if they want a World Cup, they can get it. And the big picture is 2023. That is the big picture. So yeah, I don't think they're deterred or anything. I think that they're actually inspired. I think that they're probably gonna go there and be like, okay, now I need to buckle down. Like what happened with Quinton de Kock when he was omitted just before the World Cup in 2015. He was playing SAA for a while because man was lacking form, and he came back and he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. So I hope something similar happens to them.
Okay, gents, let's close it out there. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you to Shaun for joining. Just one last thing for all our viewers and our listeners. We'll be live at 5 p.m., 5:05 for the match between Argentina and South Africa in the Rugby Championship. If you want to be notified of that, you can just like and subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell, and you can get that going. But from myself, Tshepo, and Tim, thank you very much for joining us, and le sale kakagiso.